Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is an action-packed, narrative-driven experience that will have you feeling like part of the team from the very first moment. If you're into fun, dynamic gameplay with a sprinkle of chaos, this one's got you covered. From the get-go, you're in for a wild ride, playing as Star-Lord. But don't worry, you're not going solo here. The Guardians are right there with you, and they're just as important as your own character. Combat is a blast. Literally. You'll get to lead your team in intense battles, but instead of micromanaging everyone, you're mostly calling the shots and using their abilities at the right moments. It's all about timing, using your team's powers, and staying on your toes. You'll also get to explore some really cool environments, which is a nice change of pace from the usual corridor-style design. There's a lot of freedom to roam, and even if it's not totally open world, there's plenty of hidden things to find, making each mission feel rewarding. You never know what might be waiting around the corner. Plus, you'll come across moments where you're not fighting, just chatting with the crew, and those interactions are a major highlight. The characters really come to life with some witty banter and heartfelt moments. You can tell there's a lot of care put into how they're written and how they all interact, which just makes the adventure feel more personal. The combat's definitely satisfying, especially once you start getting the hang of using everyone's abilities. Resident Evil Village picks up the action in a terrifying, snow-covered village where danger lurks at every corner. Ethan Winters is back, and this time, he's up against a whole new level of twisted creatures and monstrous foes. From towering, monstrous enemies to creepy, unsettling environments, there's no shortage of surprises, and it's easy to see why this entry stands out in the series. What really makes it shine is how it balances action with horror. You're constantly scavenging for resources, managing your inventory, and figuring out how to survive each encounter. It's not just about blasting through enemies, but about choosing when to fight and when to run. Each decision counts, especially when ammo and health are in limited supply, making every moment feel tense and meaningful. This dynamic keeps you on the edge of your seat, constantly evaluating whether to fight, flee, or conserve precious resources. One of the coolest additions is the Duke, a mysterious merchant who shows up throughout the game. He's not just there to sell you stuff. He's part of the world's strange charm. You'll find yourself stopping by to grab upgrades, weapons, and occasionally a meal. Yep, you can even cook in this game, and it's not just for fun. The buffs from meals can make a huge difference when facing tougher foes. The environments are also a big part of the fun. There's a variety of places to explore, from creepy castles to dense forests, and each location has its own vibe. Mortal Kombat 11 is a powerhouse in the fighting game world, blending the brutal, fast-paced combat the series is known for with a few new twists that keep things fresh. If you've ever been into fighting games, or even if you haven't, this one is worth checking out. The game is something for everyone, whether you're just looking to mash buttons or dive into the more technical side of things. The mechanics are a perfect mix of accessibility and depth. It feels great whether you're casually throwing punches or setting up some insane combos. You've got your classic moves, of course, but the additions like the crushing blows, which are just as dramatic as they sound, give you those wow moments that make every fight feel more exciting. It's all about finding that balance between learning the ropes and pulling off some flashy, jaw-dropping moves. The character roster is another huge win. Whether you're into the old-school fighters like Scorpion or Sub-Zero, or excited to try out new faces like Jaraz or Cetrion, there's no shortage of variety. Each fighter is unique, so you can easily find someone who fits your style, whether you like to rush in or hang back and play more defensively. Plus, you get to customize your fighters with different looks and gear, which just adds that extra bit of fun and personality to the whole experience. What really stands out, though, is how the game makes you feel like a part of this long-standing saga. Doom 4. If you're a fan of fast-paced action, brutal combat, and some of the most fun gameplay around, this one is a must-check out. Right from the start, it's clear that the game knows exactly what it wants to be. It's all about the fight, and nothing gets in the way of that. You're constantly on the move, dodging enemies, firing off your arsenal, and figuring out how to make those epic glory kills. There's no time to waste in this one, and that's what makes it so exciting. One thing that stands out here is how they've embraced the chaos. You're not hiding behind cover, slowly regenerating health, or worrying about ammo. This is about running into the fray and kicking some serious demon butt. It's fast, relentless, and honestly a ton of fun. You'll find yourself weaving between enemies, taking out groups with the most creative combinations of weapons. And the best part? There's always a new weapon or tool to keep things fresh. Whether it's the iconic shotgun or the powerful BFG, the game makes sure you never get bored with your loadout. The combat flows so smoothly, it almost feels like an extension of your reflexes. From the fluid movement to the satisfying impact of each shot, every encounter feels like a mini adrenaline rush. And then there's the glory kill mechanic, where you can execute enemies in the most satisfying ways when they're weak. It's a brutal system that rewards you with health pickups, keeping the action going and ensuring you never slow down. But what really makes this game shine is how it gives you freedom within that action. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. You ever play something that just feels good from the second you pick up the controller? This game nails that right away. The way it throws you into wild action with zero downtime is something else. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart doesn't waste a second before it starts flexing what it can do. And it's all about chaos, gadgets, and hopping through dimensions like it's no big deal. The dimensional rift mechanic is the kind of thing that could have been just a gimmick in another game, but here it's woven into the gameplay in a way that actually matters. You're yanking yourself across arenas mid-fight, blinking into new worlds, and switching up combat styles in a flash. It makes every encounter feel fast, wild, and super unpredictable. Like, you're never just standing still shooting. You're darting, dodging, switching weapons mid-air, and popping through a rift just to land behind an enemy. Speaking of weapons, this thing goes all in. Some of the guns are just straight up hilarious. You're turning enemies into plants, dropping sprinkler turrets, or launching pixelated explosives like it's the most normal thing ever. And it all works. Every weapon feels different, and switching between them mid-fight is buttery smooth. You start finding your rhythm with certain combos, and it's weirdly satisfying seeing what kind of chaos you can chain together next. The mobility is a big highlight too. Jumping, dashing, wall running, it's like every area turns into a playground for movement. Flying through space in a TIE fighter, dodging blaster fire, and weaving between the wreckage of a crashed Star Destroyer. If that sounds like your kind of thrill, then you're in for a treat. The game's blend of intense battles, all-out action, and the chance to become a true part of the Star Wars universe makes every match feel like you're in the middle of an epic galactic struggle. In Star Wars Battlefront 2, you're not just a soldier on the ground. The real fun comes from the sheer variety of playstyles it offers. Whether you're charging into battle as one of the iconic heroes like Darth Vader or Rey, taking the fight to the skies in an X-Wing or TIE fighter, or locking down strategic positions as one of the skilled soldiers on the battlefield, it's all about how you want to play. Each class offers something different, and no two matches feel quite the same. The game keeps you engaged with its fast-paced combat and massive maps. Whether it's ground battles where you're taking out waves of enemies, or starfighter combat that has you performing all kinds of acrobatic maneuvers in space, the action never lets up. The thrill of completing objectives, capturing points, or just surviving the chaos around you is incredibly satisfying. And the fact that each mode feels unique ensures that you'll always find something new to enjoy. One of the best things is how the game really captures the essence of Star Wars, with every weapon, ability, and environment drawing from the deep lore of the franchise. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Right from the start, it's clear this game isn't interested in making you feel like a superhero. It's more about making you feel like a real person just trying to survive in medieval chaos. Every move in combat actually matters, and button mashing gets you nowhere fast. Swinging a sword feels heavy and awkward until you properly learn the rhythm and angles, which makes finally winning a fight super rewarding. There's no magic shortcut, just good old practice and timing. And speaking of practice, even simple stuff like archery is a whole challenge on its own here. You don't just get a reticle or some easy way out, you have to eyeball your shots, like someone who's really holding a bow. The game world has this neat way of making everything feel alive without shouting about it. Towns and villages aren't static backdrops. The people around you are busy doing their own thing. You might find blacksmiths hammering away, guards swapping shifts, or someone wandering back home after a night out. The world just moves, and you're part of it, not the center of it. One of the coolest parts has to be how much the game trusts you to pay attention. It's not big on markers or flashing icons holding your hand. If you're told about a place or a person, it's usually up to you to figure out where to go, who to ask, and how to get the job done. It makes every little success feel earned. The best part is how the game never tries to cheat you with fake difficulty. There's a hardcore mode too, for when you really want to test your patience. Amnesia Rebirth is one of those games that really knows how to keep you on edge in the best way possible. It leans fully into that feeling where every dark corner feels like it could be hiding something, and every creaking sound makes you second-guess your next step. The way it blends exploration with pure nerve-twisting tension is such a cool balance, especially for anyone who enjoys games that mess with your mind as much as your reflexes. The clever part is how it constantly plays with fear, not just by throwing creepy things at you, but by making you work with light and shadows in a way that feels supernatural. There's this fun little challenge of managing your limited light sources, keeping your head clear, and trying not to lose your grip on reality while navigating places that are absolutely designed to unsettle you. It keeps the pace interesting, making even simple exploration feel like a big deal. What makes the whole experience even better is how it swaps out the usual combat for survival formula for something that focuses more on clever movement, hiding, and problem solving. The way you have to stay sharp and outthink what's lurking around rather than outgun it really adds to the excitement. It's one of those games that proves horror doesn't need to rely on cheap tricks or constant action to get your pulse racing. The puzzles scattered throughout feel like just the right kind of brain teaser too. Spec Ops: The Line. The story itself might be set in a war-torn Dubai, but it's the way the game forces you to confront some heavy questions about morality and leadership that makes it stand out. The gameplay, while still rooted in the traditional cover-based shooting mechanics, feels so much more engaging when you realize it's not just about killing enemies. It's about strategy and thinking on your feet. You're not alone in this, you got your squad with you, and you can actually command them in battle to help you out. That little bit of extra control over how things unfold makes the combat feel more tactical and satisfying. The use of the environment is awesome too. You'll see sandstorms roll in, wreaking havoc, and the city's ruins make for some really interesting cover choices that can change the dynamic of every fight. What's really cool, though, is how the game plays with the idea of choices and consequences. It's not just about shooting your way through enemies to the next checkpoint. Every action you take feels like it might come back to haunt you, and that adds some real emotional weight to everything you do. It's not every day a shooter makes you question if what you're doing is the right thing. And let's talk about the setting for a second. Sure, it's set in a fictionalized Dubai, but it's the sand and destruction that really set the tone. The city is in ruins, and it's like playing in an abandoned post-apocalyptic version of a once glamorous place. The way sand is used as a tactical element adds a fun layer to the combat. If you're diving into a world where every corner can be your last, you're in for a real treat. One of the coolest things about Dark Souls Remastered is how it makes you think about every step you take. It's not just about rushing through, it's all about carefully planning your moves, managing that precious stamina, and staying alert because danger is literally around every corner. The game's challenge isn't cheap, though. It's the kind of challenge that feels rewarding when you finally figure out how to tackle that tough boss or find that hidden shortcut. And when it comes to the combat, it's all about precision. You're not just button mashing your way through fights. You need to be smart with every attack, every dodge, and every block. The stamina system plays a huge role here, making sure you don't get too cocky with your swings. You can feel the weight of each action, and it keeps things from ever feeling too easy. Plus, choosing your weapon really changes how you approach every fight. There's a big difference between swinging a massive great sword or wielding a quick rapier. The world design is one of the game's strongest points. The level of detail that went into connecting areas is insane. You'll find yourself unlocking shortcuts and discovering new routes, but here's the thing, it's never a straight path. Every area is like a maze that loops back on itself with hidden gems waiting for the curious. It gives this sense of satisfaction when you're like, I just found this place and it's connected to that earlier area.
Mafia 3. There's just something really cool about games that let you build your own criminal empire one block at a time. You start at the bottom, rough around the edges, and slowly climb your way up by taking over neighborhoods, running operations, and knocking some serious weight off your enemy's confidence. It's the kind of setup that makes every small victory feel like you're stacking up towards something way bigger. The way the city is laid out makes every district feel like it has its own little personality. From the rundown corners to the fancy parts of town, every area gives off a vibe, and the way the game lets you flip them under your control is super satisfying. One by one, you'll pull the rug out from under your enemies and hand those districts over to your lieutenants, who all bring something different to the table. There's plenty of fun to be had just cruising around, messing with the local gangs and stirring up chaos. Whether you're creeping through alleyways, trying to outsmart the bad guys, or going in guns blazing, both styles deliver their own kind of fun. The game doesn't force one way over the other, which makes switching things up feel natural depending on the mood. Driving around the city is another part that sneaks up on you. The handling feels old school in a good way, with cars that slide around corners and beg you to push the pedal harder. You might end up chasing down enemies, running from trouble, or just enjoying the city's layout while plotting your next move. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Life as a Viking really knows how to keep the blood pumping. One moment you're charging headfirst into a fortress, the next you're upgrading your settlement, planning new raids, or just soaking up the rugged charm of medieval England. There's this great balance between chaotic action and slower moments that makes everything feel rewarding, whether you're sharpening your weapons or expanding your clan's home base. The freedom in how to approach every fight is what makes the whole thing shine. Charging into battle with 2 axes feels just as satisfying as sneaking through enemy camps, taking your time to pick the perfect moment to strike. Switching styles on the fly keeps every encounter fresh, and the skill tree is packed with plenty of ways to shape your Viking however you like. Being able to dual wield nearly anything, even 2 shields, makes experimentation worth every second. There's always something fun waiting just around the corner, whether it's a raid that turns into an all-out brawl or one of those side activities that totally distracts from the main objective. The world really knows how to tempt you off the beaten path, and those distractions are never wasted time. Even flighting, which sounds simple enough, turns out to be a weirdly entertaining way to test your wit while giving your Viking a bit more personality. The settlement system is where everything ties together. Building it up isn't just about new buildings, it's about making your little slice of England feel more alive. Cyberpunk 2077 is an absolute whirlwind of a game. Picture this, you're in a neon-lit, futuristic city where the line between human and machine is so blurry you might as well throw a wrench in it and call it a day. The city, full of chaos and endless possibilities, is the perfect playground for a game that's all about choices, freedom, and crazy combat. Right from the start, you're dropped into a sprawling world that's alive with activity. There's always something happening, from high-speed chases to shady deals, and everything feels packed with detail. Whether you're walking down the street or zipping through the city in a slick car, it's a world that keeps pulling you in. But what really stands out is how the game gives you the freedom to approach situations however you want. Want to sneak through a mission, hacking everything in your path? Go for it. Feel like going in all guns blazing? You can totally do that too. The beauty of it all is how customizable your approach is, with each playthrough feeling a bit different based on the decisions you make. The combat? Oh, it's intense. Whether you're engaging in tight gunfights or using cool cybernetic powers, there's no shortage of ways to take down enemies. Each weapon and piece of tech you get your hands on has its own little flair, and there's something satisfying about mixing and matching your gear to find what works best for you. You can even get into hacking. There's a real sense of power when you can shut down security systems or take control of enemy tech from a distance. Atomic Heart takes you on an adventure like no other. Imagine a world where the USSR has unlocked some pretty crazy tech and you get thrown right into the middle of it. Robots that were once your helpful companions, now they're running wild, and that's just the beginning. You'll be exploring vast, eerie facilities and battling through some seriously wild and unpredictable enemies. What makes this game stand out is how it mixes up your typical first-person shooter with these mind-bending powers you can control. Enter the polymer glove. which gives you abilities like telekinesis, electricity, and ice manipulation. It's like they combined the most thrilling parts of an action movie and gave you the power to use it in creative ways. Want to toss an enemy around like a rag doll? You've got it. Need to freeze something in place and blow it up? Easy. It's that kind of gameplay that makes every combat encounter feel fresh. But it's not all about blowing stuff up. There's a surprising amount of depth when it comes to crafting and gathering resources. Scavenging through the environment to find materials so you can upgrade your weapons or make new gadgets is a huge part of the experience. It keeps you on your toes because, honestly, you never know when you'll run out of ammo or need that extra healing item. And speaking of weapons, there's an insane variety. Whether you're using a good old-fashioned shotgun, a weirdly modified rifle, or just picking up whatever tool you find lying around, it all feels satisfying to use. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus is a game that really knows how to mix things up. It's a perfect blend of action, survival, and a touch of mystery as you venture through the harsh, post-apocalyptic world. From the moment you hop on your train and leave the safety of the metro tunnels, you're thrown into a whole new world. One that's vast, open, and packed with danger and surprises. No more tiny, claustrophobic corridors. Now you've got vast landscapes to explore, filled with all sorts of challenges. You're still in the shoes of Artyom, but this time, things feel a lot bigger. The game takes you on a journey through Russia with huge open-world areas to check out. It's all about survival, so you'll spend a lot of time scavenging, crafting, and making sure you've got the right tools for whatever the world throws at you. Whether you're crafting ammo or figuring out how to sneak past a massive mutant, every decision feels important. There's a lot of tension when you're trying to make sure you've got enough resources to make it through the day. Now, let's talk about the fun part, combat. You can go full guns blazing, but the game really shines when you try to sneak your way around. There's something super satisfying about silently taking out a group of enemies without ever being noticed. Of course, there's always the option to go in loud and just unload, but honestly, the stealth feels way more rewarding. You'll find yourself customizing weapons to match your style, whether that's silenced pistols or sniper rifles. Rise, Son of Rome. Rise, Son of Rome is like your personal ticket to stepping into the sandals of a Roman warrior, battling your way through hordes of enemies in some seriously intense combat. It's a third-person action game that has you taking control of Marius Titus, a Roman soldier with a serious vendetta. The gameplay is all about fighting, and more fighting, with each battle making you feel like a total powerhouse when you're chopping your way through waves of enemies. The combat is where it really shines. Everything's built around rhythm. It's not just about hacking and slashing. There's a flow to it, almost like dancing with swords. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be chaining attacks together, taking out enemies with style. There's this cool execution mechanic where when an enemy is weak enough, you can trigger these brutal finishing moves. It's not just satisfying to watch, it rewards you with things like health boosts and experience points. So every fight becomes a rhythm to master, a chance to build up and pull off those big moments. A little bit of teamwork also gets thrown in with the multiplayer mode. If you're not just into solo slaying, you can team up with a buddy and face down enemies together. It's fun to switch things up and get a little chaotic while trying to outlast waves of foes. You don't get to see too many games with this kind of co-op experience mixed in with your typical hack and slash, so it's a nice bonus for those who like to team up. Persona 5 Royal. You're diving into the life of a high school student who's not just dealing with the usual teenage drama, but also taking on corrupt hearts in a mysterious alternate world. And while that sounds intense, the game makes it feel like a fun, ongoing adventure. The beauty of it lies in the balance. You'll spend time going to school, building friendships, working part-time jobs, and even just hanging out with your friends in various Tokyo locations. It's all about managing your time wisely, trying to juggle these daily life activities while also tackling some pretty serious stuff in the metaverse. And when you're not doing that, you'll be heading into dungeons where your turn-based combat skills are put to the test. It's all about making smart decisions, choosing the right abilities, and of course, collecting and fusing personas to boost your powers. One of the coolest things here is how much the game lets you customize your playthrough. The characters you choose to bond with impact the abilities and skills you'll develop.
which keeps things fresh throughout. And speaking of fresh, the game adds a ton of new content, including new characters and a whole third semester that expands the story in exciting ways. If you've played the original, the additions are a real treat and make the game feel even more packed. The strategic combat in the game is also a blast. It's not just about mindless button mashing. You really have to think about your next move, whether you're exploiting enemy weaknesses or making the most of your limited resources. Fallout London is a massive fan-made mod for Fallout 4 that transports you to the post-apocalyptic streets of London. It's like stepping into a whole new chapter of the Fallout universe, but with a British twist. The best part? It's free, though you do need the base game of Fallout 4 to dive in. But once you're in, it's a whole new world, packed with everything you'd expect from a Fallout game, plus a ton of unique elements. The map itself is huge, covering iconic landmarks like Buckingham Palace and the London Eye, but everything's been transformed by the apocalypse. It's like you're walking through a city that once ruled the world, now completely overrun. And let's be real, the detail in this mod is stunning. It's not just a few changes here and there, it feels like a completely different Fallout experience. The factions in this mod are where it really shines. You've got the gentry, these aristocratic types holding on to the old world, and the Tommies, who are all about military control. Then there are the more rebellious groups, like the Camelot movement, which gives you that classic feeling of trying to break free from oppressive rule. Each group has its own vibe, its own motivations, and you're right in the middle of all of it. The way these factions interact with you? It's so dynamic, and your choices matter. You're not just wandering through the world aimlessly. Everything you do has an impact. In terms of gameplay, you'll find the classic Fallout mechanics. You're used to exploring, crafting, and making all those important moral decisions. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Now this one's all about jumping headfirst into an alien world and just getting lost in it. There's this wild sense of freedom right from the get-go. Like you're not being dragged along a straight path, but instead being told, hey, go explore, run wild, see what's out there. That kind of freedom is rare, and it's such a refreshing feeling when a game just lets you be. Everything in the world feels alive and interactive. You're not just moving through a space, you're part of it. Whether it's sliding down muddy hills, sprinting through thick brush, or leaping from one towering tree to another, the movement alone is just ridiculously satisfying. And when it clicks, when you're zipping through the wild like it's second nature, it's hard not to grin. Combat really mixes things up in a good way. There's a solid blend of up-close and long-range options, and switching between sleek handcrafted weapons and more high-powered gear feels smooth and punchy. It doesn't force you into one playstyle either. Want to be sneaky and pick your moment? Cool. Want to come in swinging and shaking the whole place up? Go for it. It rewards creativity and lets you go wild. One of the cooler little touches is how the game handles things like hunting and gathering. It actually pays off to be careful and intentional. There's a clear respect for the environment baked into the way the systems work. Sniper Elite 5. This one is all about patience, precision, and planning your next move like a chess master with a scoped rifle. There's something oddly satisfying about sneaking your way through enemy lines, finding the perfect vantage point, and pulling off a shot that feels like the culmination of a well-executed plan. Every mission becomes a sandbox of opportunity, giving you the freedom to play it loud or stay in the shadows. The game leans into its tactical stealth roots, rewarding those who take their time and think a few steps ahead. It's not just about pulling the trigger, it's about when and where you do it. Environments are open and layered with hidden paths, vantage points, and creative ways to approach your objectives. The flexibility in how things can unfold is part of the charm, and there's a real thrill in knowing that you shaped how a mission played out. What really stands out is how much variety exists in moment-to-moment gameplay. You're not just stuck with a sniper rifle. You've got gadgets, traps, and customizable gear to suit however you like to handle things. And if the idea of playing solo doesn't quite hit the mark, there's full co-op support, so you and a buddy can tackle missions together. There's even a mode where another player can jump into your game as an enemy sniper, which adds a whole new layer of cat and mouse tension. Combat feels weighty, but never clunky.